What is up, everyone? We are at episode 107 of Skorch the Fears. I'm so sorry about last week, guys. I was dealing with a bunch of different stuff, a lot of traveling, and it was just impossible to get an episode in. Usually I do this every Thursday, 5 p.m. PST. On this episode, we have Mar Lou Merilles. I hope I'm saying it right. I might have screwed that up. But he's a cool guy. I've seen him on Instagram. I think he's really awesome. He's a great real estate investor. So it's going to be awesome getting his story. Guys, if you're watching on Instagram, come on to YouTube if you want to actually, be part of the show a little bit, make some comments and stuff like that. If not, you guys can stay on Instagram. So, Mar Lou, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Jonah, for having me. Pretty excited.
Uh, Love it. So to start off, I always start with the same question, like I was saying before, which is, um, when you were starting out, so wait, real quick, for my audience that doesn't know you, real quick, just give like an intro of like your business, what it is so far, what you've done, more like just like a quick resume so people know what you've done and your history. And then I'm going to get more into like your story and stuff like that. How does that sound?
Sounds good. So, my name is Mar Lou Merilles. I am from Winnipeg, Canada. I do a lot of wholesaling. I do, here and there of flips, not a lot, but I do it sometimes. And I do have some buy and hold as well. So, I started my journey in real estate investing during pandemic, and I'm just a regular guy with nine to five job when I started. Now this is my full time.
I love it. I love it so
Hmm.
much. Are you from Canada?
Yes, Winnipeg, Canada.
Love it. Awesome.
Hmm.
Cool. So yeah, man. I mean, it's funny. We have somewhat of a similar story. Like I mainly do a lot of wholesaling. Started in the pandemic. Own a few buy and holds. Done a flip or two. Um, what market do you do, by the way?
Strictly, well, more of in Winnipeg, and I do a lot. I do a little bit in Edmonton, Alberta, also in Canada. I haven't jumped into the states, which I love to do. I still need to learn how you guys' process work. It's
I
a
love it.
different game
We'll
there.
talk about the differences of it. But as the question that I was about to get into is like, when you were just starting out, what were the fears you were dealing with starting in entrepreneurship, and how did you overcome those fears, especially with real estate investing specifically?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, when I started the real estate investing, the biggest fear that I have was not knowing what to do. I bought my first rental property without knowing nothing about real estate. And for me, I just wanted to get started. And, I was about to quit 3 months after buying that first rental property. And I just knew in the back of my head that there's more into real estate, just being that than just being a landlord. So um, I hired a coach to help me and teach me what was really the real estate is all about.
Awesome. Talk to me a little bit about your coach. Who was it? And talk about like generally how important is coaching, do you feel like, for most people in their journey?
Wow. So my coach, his name is Sean Lacap. He's not actively doing real estate anymore, but he was like, I would say, the best guy that I've learned like a lot from him. Um, you know, it's very important to have a coach in this industry because you're not losing hundreds of dollars, you're losing thousands of dollars if you make one mistake. And I always advise people to hire somebody that they are aligned with, because there's so much guru now in the internet, and they're just selling you their coaching program, and sometimes they're not the right coach for you. So for anybody who is looking to real estate and wants to hire a coach, make sure to do your due diligence before you hire that person that you know you, like that's going to help you throughout your journey.
How do you know if it's the right coach or not? Like, how are you so sure it's going to be the right coach? How do you know he would be the right coach? I have my own personal opinions on this, but I'm curious, like, what's your opinion? How do you know whether it's the right coach for you or not? Like you said, there are a lot of gurus out there. So how do
Hmm.
you know you're paying the right person money?
I mean, you have to look at what they've been doing, right? And like their resume, really, because number one, if they're doing more coaching than doing deals, that says a lot of things of a person or a coach, because they're not actively doing deals; they're just selling the coaching program. For me, my advice to the new people that are starting, hire somebody that actually doing more deals than doing coaching, and that will say so much about that person that you're going to hire, because they're actually in the trenches trying to make, doing deals rather than just sitting back behind the computer and telling you what to do, but meanwhile they're not doing it actively.
But you were also telling me too that like your guy doesn't do it anymore. Was he doing it when you were
100%, he was doing it 100%. And you know when I started, he was bringing me to his negotiations meeting.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
Cool then. That makes total sense. And then like yeah, so just like real quick, talk about your journey a little bit. So you get a coach, right? How long does it take to get your first deal? How do you get it? What's the story behind your first deal?
Yeah, so I hired my coach around 2020, August of 2021. Like I said, I closed on my first deal in January of 2020. Sorry, I'm messing up with the dates. So I closed on my first deal in January of 2020 before the pandemic, and then I hired my first coach, which is Sean, during August of 2020, and I paid $20,000 um, for the program. It's a one-on-one coaching, and within 6 weeks, I got my first deal, and it was a fourplex apartment building here in Winnipeg. I got it for $152,000, and few days after that, I got my second deal, which is um, I wholesale it. So meaning, I got it way below market value for $70,000. It's worth 100,000 as is. So what I did was I bought it, clean it up for 2 days, and then put it back in the market, and it was sold for 107,000 dollars.
I love it. I love it.
Hmm.
So tell me about the differences between like wholesaling in America versus wholesaling in Canada. The main thing that I remember, I had a Canadian wholesaler once talk to me, and he told me it was way more expensive because in Canada, you guys don't have public data, right?
That's correct.
So like how do you do it or how do you get deals?
So yeah, that's 100% right. We don't have, everything here is private. Only the only thing you could find is you go to the city hall, and then you type in the address, and it shows you the tax record of the person, the owner's name. That's it. They don't tell you how much they owe, if they're behind or whatever. It's not like in the US, you could buy a list and everything is there, right? Here, way different. So the way I do my marketing, when I started, I was dropping flyers to every single property in the area that I pick. I would, do it every single day, would drop it like 500 to 1,000 pieces of flyers every day to just get some leads.
Wow.
Yeah.
How
So
did
I
you
would
how did
walk,
you
I would
do
walk.
that?
I would
Were
walk
you?
for 2 hours.
That's crazy.
Hmm.
That's wild. So you
Hmm.
just leave flyers at people's doors?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do in Canada. How'd that
Yes.
go? How'd you feel?
It was working because my first batch of pliers, I bought 10,000 pieces, and from those 10,000 pieces of flyer, I got 4 deals from it, and it paid back my coaching costs, and it paid back. It made me $24,000. So that when that happened, I was like, "This is
Wow.
real."
So talk about that feeling. Talk about that feeling like seeing that 24K in your bank account for the first time.
Well, it was like a surreal moment because when I started, the the money that I paid for my coach, I borrowed it from the bank, and the money that I bought my first property, I also loan it from my credit card and line of credit. So when that first wholesale deal that I did,
Damn.
like I was in debt for 50, at least $56,000 all in cash, like credit
Wow.
cards and line of credits. So when that
Was that
first
for paying
deal,
for education? What was that for?
sorry,
Was that education?
yeah, for the $20,000, yeah, for the one-on-one coaching, yeah, I
But you
borrowed
said
that.
$56,000. Was that including the marketing costs or?
Yes, 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 yes,
Gotcha.
and
Damn.
the first rental property, because I bought the property for $70,000. I could only raise 45,000 from the 70 because nobody wanted to invest with me because I was a new guy, right? You don't have integrity or yet or social proof or whatever, right? So I could only raise $45,000. So what I did, I borrowed everything again from the line of credit and my credit card. That's why it became 56 somewhere there. And when that first deal was sold, it gave me so much confidence, and like I was like, oh man, thank God, like this is real. I had tears in my eyes.
Yeah, man. I mean, I had that same moment when I got my first deal. I freaking went to the escrow office, got a physical check. I was very close to that as well. Um, so did you pay off the debt or what did you do immediately with that money or what happened?
Yeah, I did pay off the debt. Obviously, I didn't make enough to pay all everything, right? So what I did is I paid the debt, and I still borrow money. I still borrowed money from my line of credit to start marketing again, because my coach said if you don't have leads coming in, you don't have any business. So I still dumped it on the marketing, and traction keeps coming, the leads keep coming, and people was so hungry for deals because the market was going up. And when I got the fourplex, my coach told me, do not take on any project until you finish this one, because that project took me a year and a half to finish, because of the tenants didn't want to move out, and the property need like $130,000 worth of renovation.
Wow.
Yeah, so he said, do not take any project
Wait, how
until you
did you
finish
do
that.
that? You didn't have any private money? How did you do that with $130,000?
That's so I started getting more investor interested in lending me money after seeing what I did with the first one, right? There's only like 15,000 here, 20,000, 10,000 there, but the wholesaling saved me a lot, because everybody was buying anything you threw out, right? So I didn't care if I was making 5K or $10,000 here. It was a volume game, so that the wholesaling kept me alive, because if I didn't start wholesaling, it would have cut my journey short. So wholesaling saved me a lot.
Wow.
And whatever I made in wholesaling, I paid my debt, and then I used it for my renovation.
I love it. So talk to me about the stress of all that because I mean that's crazy. You've done maybe like two or three deals and you're doing like 130K rehab plus also having to evict tenants. Like talk to me about that. That's insane.
It
And you had a
was.
you also had a W-2. Like how did you keep yourself cool or be able to handle all of that?
Well, number one, like it was, my wife's supported me with everything, right? So even though I was so busy, and we just had our second child, she supported me a lot. And my energy was so focused on trying to build this real estate business that I want. So I didn't care, man. I was sleeping 3 hours a day, and I was so motivated to actually make this work. It still gives me, it's still making me emotional, because looking back, man, it was so hard starting, and people not believing in you, right? So for me, it's like, okay, I gotta make this work to prove them wrong. But it wasn't about that. It's just for me and my family, because I didn't want to be at that job any longer. So I had to make it work.
Talk to me about like people who said that you weren't that like that weren't supportive of you. Who was that and like how did you push through the fact that they weren't supportive? Because I think a
Yeah.
lot of people
So
are dealing with that.
yeah, a lot of people from work, especially from work, that found out that I paid somebody $20,000 to coach me. They're like, "Are you nuts? Are you crazy? You paid somebody to teach you real estate, and you don't know if you're gonna make money." And there's this one dude from work saw me reading a book about real estate, and he's like, "Hey, what are you reading?" I said, "Money People Deal." And he's like, "What is that about?" I was like, "This is about real estate." He's like, "You're not gonna make money off that." And then 2 years later, when I was about to quit, I told him, "Hey, remember when you told me I wasn't gonna make money? I'm leaving the job." It feels so good. It feels so
Right,
good.
I get that. Isn't that crazy too in the sense that people are willing to spend $100,000 on college and they have no idea whether they're really gonna make like an insane amount of money? While like this in real estate, you can spend 8, 10, 20K and then quintuple 10x, 15x, 20x that investment pretty damn quickly. Like I don't know. I mean, what's your opinion on that? That's something I've thought about too, where it's like, I think this is insane. Like, what's wrong with you people? You could make so much more money in real estate. Yes, there's some screwballs out there, but if you at least do some of your research, you could go crazy with it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, people are just stuck on, go to college and have a good job, right? So they don't want to be, they don't want to take any more risk. We're so programmed on go to college, get a good job, and work for the rest of your life for that company, right? And for me, I was like, no, that's not who I am. I don't want to be that guy. And plus, even if you hire a coach and pay them, let's say 20,000 or $30,000, still, if you don't do the work and take action, it's not going to work out.
Right. 100%. So, okay, you do this, you're finishing this project. Um, how do you decide how to leave your W-2? I feel like a lot of people know. I never had a W-2, but I'm like curious, like, when were you like, okay, now I'm leaving my W-2. I did what I needed to do. How do you decide that?
Uh, so the first, after having that project, after 6 months on consistently doing wholesaling, I made $115,000 in 6 months. And I was like,
Wow.
holy smokes, I've never made this at my job, even if I had to work hundreds hour for the entire year. I could never make more than $70,000 at that time, right? And I made it within 6 months. So I kept doing wholesaling. The next year, I made 340 something dollars in just strictly wholesaling. I wasn't even flipping.
Love it.
And so 2022, I like the beginning of 2022, I told my wife that, hey, in June, I'm going to pull the plug. And she's like, are you sure? Like, she's worried, right? I'm like, I think I'm really, I can't see myself doing this more for more than a year again. And she's like, okay. So January came, I told her that, and then February came, we found out we're having a third child, a third boy.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in February, she's like, you know what? I'm due in September. Why don't you stick around for another 3 months at your job and take the paternity for the entire year? So I was like, that's a good idea. So, while I'm taking my paternity and getting paid from the government, I could still make money from the wholesaling and the real estate. So I ended up doing that. I stayed till end of August, and I took a year off. So 2022 of August till last year of September 2023, I didn't go back to work after my paternity. And I told my wife, I think that's it. I don't, after being off for a year, I don't see myself coming there. I said, this is it. Like, we're going to make it work. And regardless, if it doesn't work out, there's so much job out there, you know? So my mindset was just focus on getting out, and I'm living life. Like, I'm really grateful that I took that chance and risk it all. And now, I work when I want to.
I love it. I love it. So
Mhm.
tell me, like, how was it with another child coming in too? Like, there's just so many different stresses. I feel like at the beginning that you were dealing with. Um, like, did you have any methods for handling all of that, or like, did you just let's say fuck it? Like, what did you just handle it, or like, is there anything you got extra on that? That's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I was just fuck it, like my supportive wife. She's so supportive that I think having some crazy idea, she would support me. So I'm really grateful for her. And yeah, I mean, she handle the kids well. And she always tells me, you gotta slow down sometimes because you're too busy. But other than that, man, she's handling the house really tight.
I love
And
it.
yeah, grateful for that.
So talk a little bit about having a supportive wife. I feel like this is something I've noticed when business owners have a partner, one partner, or not just being single or not just playing the field, that this really helps their business. What do you think
Hmm.
is happening there? And also, how do you feel like your wife has supported you? In what ways has she supported you in the business itself?
Yeah, so I mean, making that decision to hire a coach, she she I think she sees some potential in me. And I was like, you know what, I'll do everything I could to give us the life that we want. After having our second child, I told her not to work for anybody and stay home. And I haven't even start my real estate journey then. I just told her, just focus on the kids. I'll do more overtime if I have to, because I don't want my kids to grow up in the daycare, you know? So she's like, okay. And when the real estate came, I told her, you know what? I found somebody that I think it could help me to learn more about this real estate thing. She's like, "Are you sure?" Because she was so surprised about the coaching cost of, the program, and she's like, "How are you gonna pay for that?" I said, "I'm gonna loan it from the bank." She's like, "Are you really sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, 100%." She's like, "Okay, whatever you do, if you want it, go for it. We'll be here, cheering." So that is that. And from then, she's if I need something from her, she would do it. And when we were starting, she was the one who's making the flyer. She was the one who's putting like the package for the investor package. And yeah, because I'm not techie, and I hate doing emails. So she was the one who's doing that in the beginning.
I love it. I love it so much. So talk a little bit about the rest of your story. So that happens, you get through it, you get through that initial hump at the beginning of entrepreneurship. And then what happens after that? What what like happens next?
So, you know, um, I did a couple of flips and lost some money, and I said, you know
Practically.
what, let's focus on the wholesaling because this is actually working. Market is still hot, so I decided to in beginning of 2022, I decided to just focus on wholesaling, and I started doing market, like I was dumping $5,000 every single month for my flyer campaign, and I was sending out 20 to 25 thousand dollars letters every single month, and I was doing 2 to 3 deals a month for the entire year. So I think I'm really
Love it.
blessed that it worked out. You know, so I kept doing wholesaling, and still
And
now,
that was you without a team, right? That was just you
yeah,
solopreneur?
yes, yeah. Now we have a team. I have a team that also does my Facebook ad, and another VA from the Philippines that qualifies the leads, and we're still sending out flyers. That my bread and butter.
I love it. So what does your team look like right now? Like, I'm just curious, like what your team looks like. Are you just doing flyers? What marketing methods are you using? Let's just start
Yeah,
with your team.
yeah. So I only have 4 people in my team. uh, I guess 5 with my wife. So no, like four of them. One guy, his name is Robert. He's the guy who's focused on Facebook ads, and Charlene is the one who qualifies the lead, and I have a, what do you call that? A great buddy that does driving for dollar for me here in Winnipeg, and another BA in the Philippines that does mostly of my admin work. So I'm still the guy who goes to the houses and close the seller, because here, you really have to go, like, just like US, you need to go to houses. It's either you or somebody from your team, right? For me, I
Right.
love doing it. I love closing deals with the seller, and you know it, I don't know, I just like negotiating in front of them and getting what they need, and you know solving their problem.
Talk about that real quick because I feel like people miss that about how important it is to be problem solving. I feel like that's where we earn our money as wholesalers, but very few people do it. They just give offers. They don't really care about the sellers, right? Can you talk about that? Like, what's your philosophy with how you treat sellers?
Yeah, so first first and foremost, I always ask, why are they looking to sell? Like, what's wrong? Like, how can I help you? I come into a phone call, not wanting to buy the house. I want to know what's behind that reason why you want to sell the house. If you need money, you lost a job, or you inherited a property. Right now, I'm doing a deal who this lady inherited her dad's property, and she doesn't want to deal with it because it's in the red zone, and her brother and her brother's friend lives in the house for free, and the house is just so much clutter. Like, the kitchen, it's not even a kitchen. And she's like, I saw your video on TikTok, and I know you buy this kind of houses. Do you think you could make me an offer? I said, well, I don't really make an offer. I would want to know why you want to sell this, and if you are, for real of selling this, then I can help you. I'm not in the business of making offer. I'm here to solve your problem and what you need. You're just like, well, I need this amount of money, and I just don't want to deal with this property. So I found that pain point, and I said, look, I can handle this, and the number works for her, the number works for me. We write things up, and we're just waiting for the possession date.
I love it. I love it so much. I mean, guys, that's what it is. This business is just really just keep solving sellers' problems and everything else works out, right? If you just do that, everything else gets solved.
Hmm.
That is the only thing you have to be worrying about. That's what you have to be working on, right? Um, so yeah, I love it. What can you talk to me a little bit about social media? Like what got you started in social media? I always like knowing like why people do social media. I obviously found you off of social media. So
Hmm.
like what made you focus on your Instagram and like doing all that type of stuff?
So yeah, my coach Sean, he told me that, hey, Marlu, you got to start posting on social media, because people will trust you more if you're showing whatever you're doing, especially in real estate, because they see the ugly house and you turn it to a great looking house. So, and also it helps your brand, right? If you don't have a brand, y- you're nobody nowadays. So I was like, okay, and I started filming and documenting what I was doing, and out of that, I started getting investor just through social media, friends and family. And I was like, wow, this is actually working. And I enjoy doing it because, one, I bring my son to my meeting and we have fun. So that's why, I was like, I'm going to take this social media seriously, and hopefully, it pays out in the long run.
What is your current social media strategy? Like what are you posting? How are you posting them? What give us some social media tips to like help us grow our followings?
Yeah, so for me right now, I'm more of the mindset guy, because right now I have a challenge for myself to do ice bath every single day. Um,
I
so
was
that's
doing that.
yeah, that I'm at 144 days straight, whether it's 30 - 30 outside or -1 outside, I'm still doing it. For me, I'm just showing that it's really about your mindset, and people needs to change their mindset that you could do anything you want in this world. You just have to freaking go after it. I'm a dumb guy that is a -C in school, and I don't have work. I don't have 9 to 5 anymore. I'm like, I'm a testament of, if you put in work, you will get what you want. So, for me, social media, I just want to show, I don't want to show them like what I do in real, I do want to show them what I do in real estate, but most of it is showing them that, hey, this guy is consistent. this guy is relentless of doing whatever it takes. Even the hardest thing is getting in that water every single morning. I still do it.
I love it. I love it so much. And then so what are your goals now? Where do you want to go with your wholesaling business? Like what's the next step for you?
Yeah, so I don't know if you know RJ Bates. I
I do,
started,
great guy.
yeah, great guy. So I started following him, and I was like, wow, this guy is for real. So I even changed my script um, with using his script, and I bought his program as well. For me, getting in the states is one of my big goals this year. I just need somebody to actually teach me, how to pull up list and how to, pull how to do the escrow and
That stuff's
stuff
so
like that.
easy, bro. You'll get that
Yeah,
down in like 5 seconds. It's super easy.
it
It
really is.
compared to if you know the wholesaling method, all you have to do is do that in America. Escrow's simple. There's little things. It probably gonna take you like 3 days to learn all of that. I don't
Oh.
think it's super hard at all. You could look up now like how to get a list off PropStream. It's really
Mm,
easy. And then you can
mm-hmm.
use like Skip Matrix or Batch Leads or any of these skip tracing services.
Gotcha.
Um, I'm just saying it's not too hard. But have you been hitting up RJ Bates or what's been going on?
Yeah, well, I bought his program recently. It was so cheap. I was like, I'm jumping on this, right? So it's
Right.
his selling program or like his process, and I'm gonna message him and get him to probably coach me one on one as well. Hopefully he offers that. If he doesn't, then that's all right because he
Love
doesn't
it.
do a lot of coaching.
Why RJ Bates versus any other community? There are so many out there.
I think it's because of his title of the king closer, so,
Brand.
and he doesn't mess around. Like, he's direct to the point, and I'm same with the seller. And so I like how his script worked, and I was like, man, that actually works. Like, you don't have to build rapport in the beginning, because if the seller doesn't know what they want, that means they're just fishing. If a seller know what they want in the beginning, then it's worth investing more time and talking to them. Because I used to be, the guy who build rapport and takes me 20 to 30 minutes, and then at the end of the call they're not willing to sell. So I find his process of talking to the seller is money.
Insane. I love it.
Hmm.
I love it. Totally
Hmm.
makes sense. So where do you want to take your team though? Like how many people do you want to have? What are you doing still in the business? Like what's your revenue? Give us some of like the business stuff real quick.
Yeah, so last year I did a couple of flips, including the wholesaling. We almost hit $1 million.
Nice.
That's small. I feel like that's small. I could have done better, but I also lost some money because of, you know, the interest rate and the market shift, right? So it's part of the game. So what I wanted to
Why are
do,
you doing any flipping? Like I did one flip and I made money on it, but it was so annoying where I was like, this is just distracting me from the wholesaling. Why do flipping ever? You know? I do flips very rarely. I have to really like the deal.
yeah,
Why not just never do it?
well, that's my mindset now. you know,
Okay,
if
nice.
if if I if I find like this deal that I said earlier, I'm just gonna close on it and resell it in the market. I'm not even gonna touch it, and probably
Right.
just clean up the clutter and then put it back in the market. For me, flipping, I like it because you're turning a product into a real nice one, but I don't want to do so much of it because it's so much risk, and you never know when the market will turn again. It still hasn't recovered from 2020, but like we will never see 2% interest rate anymore
Yeah.
for a long time, right?
Yeah. Or ever again. It's
Or ever
possible
again,
for
exactly. So I'm gonna be more focus on wholesaling, and I've been doing that. So it's been
I love
great.
it.
Like the start of this year, we've already done 5 deals.
Nice. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
I've
Yes,
had
sir.
I've had two for this year, but like I love it. I'm in California, so we deal with really
Oh,
high price points.
yes. Yeah.
We deal with
Yeah.
huge price points, so it's a different market. Um, so we're coming to the end of this interview just because I have to. There's something that I have to do at like in 10 minutes or so.
No
But
worries.
we're getting closer to the end. So I want to just end it with one of my favorite questions to ask people, which is, Mar Lou, if you could go back to you at the beginning, right when you're like just starting out, what would you tell that person then, knowing everything that you know now?
Ooh. Um, I would tell him to not listen to your naysayer in the beginning, because it really hit me hard when people were like, "Oh, you're not gonna make money. You're not gonna make it." And do not listen to those guys. Focus on what you're doing and seek for help. Don't be scared to be the guy who's raising your hand and, hey, I need help, rather than starting out of nowhere and not knowing anything. Because if I would have hired a coach from the beginning, I wouldn't have, stressing out with my first rental property, and I could have saved my time and energy for stressing from that deal. So I would say, just learn from somebody right at the start and keep going, keep taking action.
I love it, my man. So real quick, tell me like what are you plugging? Where can people find you? Where can people do deals with you? The Winnipeg of my audience, the Winnipeg Canadians of my audience. How do people do deals with you? What are you plugging? How can people reach out to you? All that good stuff.
Yeah, everything is the same on my social media at Mar Lou Merilles, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. They're all the same. Also, I have a YouTube channel, at Mar Lou Merilles as well. So if you guys have any deals that you can't find any buyers, let me know. I build up a good buyers list since I've started. And if you want to do deals together, don't hesitate to reach out.
I love it. I love it. Mar Lou, you've been an amazing guest. Thank you so much. Feel free to stay after for just like a second. I just want to recap with you the whole podcast.
Hmm.
And guys, next week, I'm gonna look up who do we have next week on? We have Rashana Scott. She's an awesome realtor that I know. It's gonna be an amazing podcast. We'll have Cash Flow and Coffee next week, Monday, 8 a.m. PST, 9 a.m. MST. It's going to be a great time, or 9:15 MST, 8:15 a.m. PST. It's going to be great, guys. Mar Lou, thank you so very much. And this is Skorch the Fears, episode 107. Let's freaking go.